Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. In 1 day, 3 hours, 26 minutes, and 40 seconds, we finally gonna cruise our way in Breaklast with the new expansion, Siege of the Atlas, with the Arch Nemesis League. And yeah, today is Thursday. This is like the day where nobody knows what to do. Like, I start to clean the house and just like take a walk because, like, bro, it's still like 27 hours to wait, right? But I still want to take the opportunity to share a little bit more information about like the league starter that I'm going to play, with the kind of like progression part and stuff like that, because I know a lot of people are kind of like waiting for that or need this kind of help, like more or less like a hand-holding league start, right? So I just want to give you guys some more information about what I plan to do, how my early league start or items is going to look like, what is like my buy list, my wish list, more or less. What are the first items that I'm looking for, and kind of like lead you towards and hopefully successful league start. Because in the end of the day, for me, league start is always a journey. I'm not like the guy that makes like super in-depth early league budget POBs or something like that. I did try it on this version, right? If it's the right way, I don't really know. But in the end of the day, you know, you grind, you get currency, and sometimes you're lucky, you find early on some like 10x item, and then you like skip the entire like middle investment part or stuff like that. So that's why I'm always like having a big question mark on these league startup POBs. But anyways, I did take like a very early version here. In 3.14, I did start the accuracy stacking Juggernaut as a kind of a league start approach, right? Where I just, yeah, took all the basic stuff that I will list in the path of building, and just to show you guys how I'm going to do it the same way, just like with an kind of like updated POB tree since all the masteries and stuff like that. And I want to go over them, and then we see how it goes, I guess. So when we go to the items, more or less, the Tempest is a bit of a question mark. I don't know which kind of bow this is going to be, just because, you know, this is the faded version. Since Prophecy League is going to get removed, I don't know if there will be like only the first version or a mixed version or only the Tempest. But this bow like, with like flat lightning damage will be a good source and should definitely get us into high tier maps. I don't think that we have to replace that early on at all, you know. The quiver basically just life, resistance, accuracy. This is basically what we are looking for on every single rare item. Life, resistance, accuracy. Then for the helmet, the Obscurantis, this should be a global drop now, so that should not be expensive and easy accessible within the first, I don't know, after like 5, 6, 7 hours into league, when the first people that are like super hard blasting are going to get into the mapping, and until it drops basically, right? A tabula, basically, I mean, either you farm it yourself with Blood Aqueduct, or you kind of can buy it early on for like 20C, or like most people will find it anyways from the league mechanic or something like that. But a tabula is not too hard. It's definitely going to be cheaper to run a tabula rather than a 6-link bow, and it also gives us more opportunities to get some more gems into it that we could use early on. The Oscarm gloves shouldn't be too expensive either early on, maybe like 2-3 chaos or so no problem. The boots are going to be questionable. I have no idea how expensive they are going to be. Obviously, the Cloud Whisper boots, the Windbreak boots, the Stormrider boots, the 3 different versions. Stormrider is, I think, level 80, so it's going to be probably Windbreak boots that you're going to buy early on. But I'm not too worried about them in the other hand, because this is like, you need a good amount of accuracy to get a good amount of damage out of it, right? And if you run the campaign and we have like, I don't know, 3,000-4,000 accuracy, these boots will give us like a bit of damage. You know, it's not something insanely crazy. It's going to become even more valuable once we have high amounts of accuracy, right? But we're not going to have this early on. So yeah, I'm not going to have this at level 20 when I could technically equip them. But I'm not worried too much either. I'm going to try to get them as early as possible, but you know, it's not like this character will be unplayable without them, right? Then for the Amulet Hinekora side, no idea how expensive this is going to be. I would assume like 10, 15, maybe 20 chaos or something, that it's not like 1 chaos cheap, but still like farmable within like an hour or so, so it shouldn't be the craziest thing to get either. Then for the rings, both are like life resistance, maybe some flat damage, maybe some, you know, accuracy, whatever you get, some intelligence or strength for our enduring crime, maybe, you know, nothing too crazy. Darkness Enthroned, more or less the item that nobody wants to have when a Lich occurs, right? So Is this even like in the quadruple or something? I have no idea. But in the other hand, this used to be like in League Starter 3 Chaos item, and it's going to rapidly down to 1 Chaos or 1 Alchemy. So nothing crazy. Abyssuals, same thing. Life, accuracy, flat damage, multiplier, resistance, stats, whatever you can fit, you know? For the flask, the same thing. Life flask, maybe an enduring mana flask, a quicksilver flask to move fast, a jade flask, maybe a silver flask for some onslaught to just be faster, right? Some bleed immunity, maybe some poison immunity because we're gonna be ailment immune anyways through our purity of elements. Then rare jewel, same thing. Life, accuracy, attack speed, everything that you can fit in, you know, just trying to get it as cheap as possible. I would start out, the most important thing for me personally is always going to be life, and then like a 2-stat jewel with like life accuracy, life attack speed, life resistance, life something, you know. It's like 1 chaos if even, and you're just gonna stack a bunch of those, and then you can make up a filter with like adding a 3rd stat, which can be like the combination of like life, accuracy, attack speed, or what the other jewels have here, some resistance, and then you're just gonna buy some cheap early rare jewels with that, right? Then we have Rain of Splinters, which just gives us totem fires, 2 additional projectiles. Pretty nice for the clearing and for our barrage setup later on for a single target. Shouldn't be expensive either. And then we have Transcendent Spirits. In my current early version, I'm using 3 of those. They are definitely not gonna be cheap. I know a lot of people that probably want to start accuracy stacking. Maybe they plan to do this ahead, or maybe get inspired by my video here, or because I played, I don't know. But you know, Transcendent Spirit could be like an Exalted piece or 2 Exalted piece. Depends how many people are looking for those. But this would be the first high value investment that I would do, is 3 Transcendent Spirits, just because they give so much accuracy. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So I would say overall, if we not gonna take into account the cost of the Transcendent Spirit, I think you can get this entire gear for like 50 chaos, 60 chaos maybe, so definitely affordable on day 1 of the league, maybe day 2 or something. And with this current setup, using the Tabula basically for the early 6 link with a barrage setup here instead of GMP, we do sit in like over 1 million DPS. Please do note that this is not Sarah's DPS, right? For this League Starter POBs, there is for me no point to put in Sarah's DPS because, dude, I'm running T1 maps, maybe T5, T7, T8 maps. I'm not even looking close to kill any endgame bosses, so why do I calculate this over here, right? But with like 1.5 million single target potential, this should be a super easy breeze to get into high tier maps. Even with our clearing setup, would be like 500,000 DPS. So I don't see myself really swapping out barrage setup for the map bosses. I don't think this should be any problem, but if you want to do some invitation or something, this will definitely help. So if you're gonna go over the gem setup here, Siege Ballista Inspiration will help a little bit with the mana sustain here, or making the things a little bit cheaper here, as well as giving us crit strike chance, GMP for the clearing, ally damage with attacks, lightning damage, and added lightning damage. Or lightning pendant added lightning damage. And you may ask, like, why not additional accuracy? And additional accuracy is somewhere here on the list, so it is good, but you obviously, the more accuracy you're gonna have, the more valuable it's going to get once you have the divergent accuracy, because this will give us like a tremendous amount of damage input, right? But for the early version, we're looking at around about like 28, 29,000 accuracy. So this is something I used to say very often in the past. If you get some early League Starter version of an accuracy stacker, it shouldn't be no problem hitting like the 30k accuracy mark. That should give you an easy time pushing into those red tier maps, maybe even some endgame bosses. It's going to be hard, but probably still doable. With some mediocre investment, I would say like maybe 10, 15 exalts or so, we would look more towards like a 40 to 50,000 accuracy. This should be the point where it shouldn't be a big deal to do like endgame bosses, especially with the Siege Ballista setup, because it's like so easy to kill bosses with that. And then sky's the limit, guys. I tell you, you could spend 15 mirrors in that build, especially now with the Atlas passives here. We pull this one up here. There is a note here that says is it Corrupted Grace? Abyss jewels found in areas have 20% chance to be corrupted and have 5 to 6 modifiers. So if you think about my earlier state, or my couple leagues ago with my super endgame version that had like, I don't know, like 12, 13 Abyss jewels, and now you get 6 modded jewels out of that, right? This could be insanely powerful. So what will be the next one? Let's assume you got this going. So this tree doesn't have cluster jewels, it doesn't have a Watcher's Eye, it doesn't even have quality on the gems, level 19 gems. So this is really like just a guideline, you know, just to get like, okay, what is my next step? I have a 6-link now, what support gem should I get, and stuff like that. So probably this is going to help, right? And then it depends how much currency do you get, what would be the next potential upgrade. So let's continue with the gem setup here. Then I have a War Banner, Blood Rage, Dash, nothing too crazy here, Precision, Purity of Elements, and Grace for our auras. Enlighten, level 3, level 4, if you can afford it. I skipped it entirely here because this will be currency. Like lastly, what was an Enlighten, like 4 or 5x or so for an Enlighten level 1. I have no idea how these prices are going to ramp up this league again. I'm not controlling the market, I'm just saying this is like question mark items. I don't know how expensive they're going to be, so I don't want to put in any Enlighten setups in my like 50 chaos budget version, right? Cast damage taking Immortal Call is an option. Enduring Cry, Frenzy to get the Frenzy charges. Then we have like, we could play with an Ensnaring Arrow, Culling Strike, Hydrosphere. Yes, it got nerfed, I know, but you can like put in the Hydrosphere and then just shoot Frenzy on the Hydrosphere to get your charges before the boss encounter starts, for example. Then we could play with something like an Ice Golem with like Elemental Army for exposure, with Meat Shield and Minion Life, so this guy actually survives longer. And I did actually put in a lot more setups here just because we technically have the room with a tabby, you know. In the best case scenario, you want to get the replica Shroud of the Lightless. This would be probably maybe 20 exalts or something, just the chest alone. And then this chest will only be good if you have good Abyss jewels. If you don't have the Abyss jewels, you don't need the chest, because whatever, right? But since we do have a tabula in this version and a potential 6-socket or 6-link bow, we definitely have room for example an Ensnaring Arrow with Culling Strike or Hydrosphere, or a multi-link a multi-link Ice Golem. If you don't have it, then you can skip all of that and just, you can even put your Ice Golem in your Cast Image Taker setup. Then I would go for a higher level Cast Image Taker setup, just because I personally know myself, I'm always too lazy to summon the Golem. So I always do it as lazy as possible. I get hit, oh, here's my Golem, right? So it's just personal preference. I'm just somebody that doesn't really like to resummon the Golem all the time just because he dies, you know. Good. So what else could we talk about here? When it comes to Ascendancy, we go first the Undeniable, obviously. Then I would go for Unstoppable just for the movement speed to be faster. And then we're gonna go for the Endurance charges over here. And then maybe at super endgame, you know, once we maybe get up like 5 mirrors and be able to buy the Undeniable new jewel setup, then I would swap to Berserk and stuff. But this is all like so far in the future that I don't really bother too much with it, right? This is just like a generic basic tree that is level 78, so nothing too crazy. Even though it has some items that cost something, right, with the Transcendent Spirits, but I think you will still be able to farm up the currency to buy this early on. And when we talk about this mark on hit and stuff like that, there will come a new mastery for the mark mastery that will say you're gonna have 10% chance on hit to gain frenzy charges on hit. So bow builds do actually have like a hard time getting all those frenzy charges in. You can play with the frenzy single target just as a frenzy alone just to get your charges. But at the end of the day, we do have the Oscarm Gloves, right? And with the Oscarm Gloves comes the Assassin's Mark on hit on rare and unique enemies. So what you could do is just take these 3 points, mark for death, get free Culling Strike against bosses, and then use the new mastery with the Frenzy Charge on hit, so you don't have to use this Frenzy gem at all, you know? Then for the next part, if you say like, okay, what is our stats looking like? 25k evasion, you know, it's always like, where do we see this build at the moment? I would say maybe tier 5 maps, tier 8 maps, tier 10 maps, so it's not like you need hilarious amounts of defenses, right? But I would definitely early on, when I get into high tier maps and I do get higher levels, like level 78 is, you know, like easy achievable. Once you get like level 85, level 90 or something, when you push into high tier maps, then I would definitely take a look at like inveterate for all the spell suppression. And I think with this kind of setup, it should not be too hard to get 100% spell suppression, and I would definitely recommend using that. Maybe at some very late game stages, I would like to get determination in, just because, you know, with the, where is it? Precision, Purity of Elements, Grace, and our War Banner, you know, we are already kind of starved based on the mana cost, so I definitely would like to go like a Watcher's Eye with minus mana cost with Clarity, or even the Craft on the rings for minus mana cost, because this is going to be hard to sustain even with an Enduring Mana Flask, right? But this is all like work in progress. This is just like an early tree that I want to share with you. I'm also going to link you my old video here, so you can take a look with like some early gameplay in the first maps, or how did it feel like in the campaign. And yeah, that's pretty much what I have for you today. 1 day, 3 hours still remaining. God damn it, I'm going to cook some food now and enjoy the rest of the day in front of the TV or something, just waiting for the league start to begin. And as always, I'm going to make a league start diary again. So I'm going to follow up every single day with a video where I plan to show you guys what is the next goal, did we achieve yesterday, what is the overall character appearance looking like, is it actually worth the league starter, was I right to see like, okay, this is probably a good league starter, or was it so terrible, unplayable? I have no idea. As I say again, Path of Exile is a journey, and the league start is always like a magical journey, and I'm always like surprising, or like letting myself surprise what we're gonna find, how this is going to turn out, and then just tune things along the way, just go with the flow and see what we can get. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.